Smart cities, lots of advantages, money for that, future development. But in the end, the question is, does it mean that it's only fantastic and only that beneficial part for all the society? If you take a look around, we have the old part of the city full of green and old buildings. But from the other side, on the back, you have the new office buildings. And that's the old part, and that's the new part. We have old habits, we have old needs. Old does not mean bad. And we have the new things that are coming into environment. The question is, what are the main challenges that we have these days in smart cities? From this super practical perspective, the first, and in my opinion the most important one, is that we treat technology as a goal, not as a tool. So we said that there should be, for example, 1 million electric cars, but no one thinks what for, what's the need in there. We have very many investments done in the process of new technologies, new systems in the cities. But in the end, we are thinking how useful it is or how useless it is. Smart cities being present on the market for more than 15 years. It brings us the information that most of the cities did the investments in the cities which were partly or nearly none beneficial for the cities, which means they installed very nice, very expensive gadgets for the society. We have them in Barcelona, we have them in Poland, we have them in the US. And the main problem that is appearing in here is that technology should be a tool, but not a goal by itself. And we should assess to which level and in where we're going to use it. I remember one of the cases which I was verifying. It was a company that appeared and said, hey, we have a brilliant idea for new electronic ticket in the city. The one in which you can tick in, tick out when you're going inside of the tram, then do the same when you're jumping from the tram to the bus, and it presents the real data about the people's flow in the city. And that was the only functionality, and it was limited just to that. In that time, the cost of installation was 12 million euro. The maintenance cost, 1 million euro a year. And the city, when they wanted to gain exactly the same data, they were doing traditional service. There were people staying in the streets asking the questions where to you're going. And it was plus minus 3% points difference between the real results and that results. But the cost was 50,000 euro. And in that point, it makes sense not to implement the technology because it brings us exactly the same point as what we have right now, but far more expensive. That's one perspective. What is connected with that is the second element, which I would call a PR perspective. I would say that smart city is not anymore something that when you come into the city hall and say, hey, we would like to install something which is smart, the reaction is super positive. My last visit in one of these mid-sized cities in Poland, and I was talking to the mayor of the city, and he said, well, last week I had 7 companies coming to me saying that we had a perfect tool for you. Buy it, install that, and because of that you will become smart. Which practically means that the people in there, their reaction when they hear the smart city is pretty negative these days. Because they have very many negative experiences connected with the tools that appeared in there. But they were expensive, but as we said previously, the usefulness of them was pretty limited. And then the final one that we can talk about is the fact that most of the cities, they treat all the investments as a cost. With Smart Cities project, they are super rarely dedicated just to one area of the city. Very rarely we can say that it's pure transportation project. Even if we're talking about rebuilding the road, it influences on the pollution all around, on the value of the ground, so multi-silo approach. But we had a project which can bring lots of savings to the cities. I remember one of the ideas that was presented to me with one of the companies. There was a project in which they were just detecting what you have under the ground. And because of the detection of what you have underground, the city can collect extra taxes for something which was not appearing on any of the plans. Which means there were huge extra incomes for the city. But still, practically, it means that you have to invest money first, then to collect the money. Very few cities still tend to think about investment projects as not only a source of the cost in one area, but it might bring extra income, for example, in another department. And that's how we can see them. So the biggest challenge is the fact that we have no alternative. Technology all around us is changing and will be changing all the time. So we have to adapt to that. We have to have a plan about that. And we have to prepare to that changes. But we cannot just base on the PR perspective saying, hey, that's smart, as the only explanation of why it's worth to do the project. Because that level of development of the city is already a past, and I would say majority of the cities, they already made enough expensive mistakes not to do it anymore. So you have to have clear, justified customer and the goal of the project. And only then we can say that successfully there is a chance to collect money for that.